Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, BD.
It's Foreign's the fiance.
And we are back. Today we are actually doing a credits episode. And it's about a case that we've mentioned in passing a couple of times on the podcast, but we thought we'd actually kind of get into it as much as possible. There's not a documentary on it at the moment. There is a movie, but it's not a documentary, and so...
Have you watched the movie?
No, have you?
No, but I want to watch it.
Yeah, low-key, I was like, we should have probably watched it before we did this. But it's fine. We can all watch it together.
No, because the movie probably isn't... I mean, it's based on the case, but
no, it's not even a movie. It's kind of like a documentary, but it's like a documentary movie where they basically... Because I watched the trailer of it. They basically just discuss... Anyway, let's get into it. So in this credits episode, we are going to talk about the case of Joyce Vincent. We've mentioned her before in other episodes, kind of just in passing. She is a lady who... She was, wow, that part. She was a lady who was found dead in her apartment 3 years or so after she actually died.
I don't know why I thought it was like 20 years. I'm so stupid.
No, it was 3 years. It was 3 years.
I know.
I think it was just under 3 years. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. It was just proper sad. And my whole thing with this, and it's not even really a case, I guess it's a story because case closed kind of thing, is that my whole thing initially was, it's proper sad because how can you go missing for that long and no one knows or no one cares, blah blah blah, and reading up about it is very much not that. We find out a bit about, I'm really in documentary mode. I read a bit about her. Her name is Joyce Carol Vincent. She was born on the 19th of October 1965 in West London, I think Hammersmith. And she kind of grew up around them ends. She was like a vibrant, vivacious babe, very talented.
Yeah, she lived.
Very musical, literally living la vida loca. She was in backstage in a music video. She met Nelson Mandela. She really lived her best life. She was really that bitch.
Yeah, she did live.
She went to school, obviously left at 16, like most of us do, but she didn't have any qualifications. So she was really doing music industry babe. This is, do you know what I mean?
But when they say you don't have any qualifications, what does that mean?
No
you
GCSEs.
So you didn't sit your exams, or you sat them and you failed all of them?
Either way, you left and you didn't have any GCSEs. That's what that means. So it seems like maybe it's a thing where she was like, fuck this, I'm a music babe and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
I watched the trailer of the film about her. It's called Dreams of a Life. Let me just confirm that that's right. Yeah.
It is.
Dreams of a Life. And she, in there, people were just saying, she could sing really, really well. I watched the trailer of it and there was one guy and he was like, people would say that she looked like Whitney Houston. She doesn't. That she looked like Whitney Houston, but I thought she looked prettier than her. I mean, Joyce Vincent is a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful woman. It's sad that she was so young when she died. But yeah, so she left without qualifications. She's a music babe. She was really living her best life. She had jobs. She was a secretary at first. And she even was working for EY at one point. She worked there for 4 years in the Treasury Department. And then in March 2001, she resigned. And we don't know why she resigned.
Yeah. But they're hints of domestic violence at the time going on in her life. And I feel like the stuff that happened after that is probably indicative of the fact that she was maybe in an abusive relationship.
Yes, and I think that's ultimately where this is going, because what happens is that she dies, right? And no one knows that she's dead. The only reason they know that she's dead, the reason they find her on the 25th of January 2006 is because the bailiffs come knocking, right? So the bailiffs come knocking because she hasn't paid. And they have this reenactment in the film, which again, I haven't seen, but you see it in the trailer, where the camera is inside the house. So our point of view is that we're seeing inside the house while the bailiff is breaking into the house. And there's a massive pile of letters at the door. So the bailiff is having to push past all these letters to get into the house. Because of course it's been 3 years and sis has just been in the house the whole time dead and nobody knows. So they're okay, well, they come to kind of collect on their missed rents.
Monies. But I just wonder how big that pile of letters would be. If I was to not, if we were to not like whatever for 2 years, how high would that pile be?
It would be high. Because even think about it, it's not all just like people who actually need to speak to you.
Like
It's also junk as well.
Next and shit, yeah.
So much junk. Like, I literally will clear up and get rid of everything, and then like by the time I come home from work, there's more. So I can imagine that it's just. I can imagine that it's like a whole lot of
letters.
Thingy stuff there, because that's just wild. So yeah, that's how they find her, really, which is very indicative of the world in which we live. They're like, you owe us money, you owe us rent, and that's how they find her. So this episode is kind of just trying to discuss the case as a whole, you know, what happened and things like that. In terms of her death, like why she died, they think that either it was an asthma attack or it was something to do with a peptic ulcer. So she had an ulcer in her stomach that she had gone to hospital for, and they thought maybe it was complications from that, and then she wasn't able to get any help, and then she died, and then no one found her. And I remember, I don't know if I said it on this podcast or if I just said it to you before, but I was watching this one of these crime shows that we watch, yeah, and it was kind of like this woman died. She choked on cereal. She lived alone.
Oh,
yeah,
you told me.
And she choked on cereal, and that's how she just died. Yeah, and I just think to myself, like, wow, living alone is really a gamble, because for the most part, it's not going to take you 3 years to be discovered, but to just die there and nobody knows how you died.
Yeah,
and it's just something so.
And some of these deaths are like avoidable if you just had somebody that would help you.
Yeah, exactly. If you just had someone there to notice that help needed to be called, it's crazy. Yeah. But the biggest thing that
it's like an episode of Sex and the City I was watching, and like Miranda was. You don't watch Sex and the City, right?
No, I've seen it.
Oh, okay, Miranda. I don't know if you remember this episode, but she was like
having a by herself.
Like, meltdown. Yeah, and then she choked on like some sweet and sour chicken.
And she had to like use the chair
to do the Heimlich. Yeah. And it's just like that, and that's why I'm just like, living alone is not for me. Like, and I'm so clumsy as well. I definitely would be the person to like slip in the bath and fall. And like that would be my I think so many times that's probably how I'd go out, because I'm like, that's my bag. So
yeah, but I think you would definitely be found pretty soon. Like if I hadn't heard from you in 2 days, I'd be like, or if you hadn't tweeted some dumb shit.
Yeah, but then I'd be dead.
Yeah, but
whereas if you had been there with me, I'd have been alive.
Well, yeah, maybe. Depends if you hit your head on the way down or not. Then there's nothing I could have done.
Yeah, if I hit my head, even if you call the ambulance quickly,
that's what I'm saying.
Be all right.
That's what I'm saying. Well,
but if it's 2 days, I'll probably be dead.
Fair. No, but what I'm saying is that if it had been 2 days, even if it had been a day and a half, and I didn't see some dumb tweet, I would have been like, okay, something is not right, and I would have come.
This bitch is dead. Oh,
I'd be like, she's dead now. She has to be, or she's en route death, because there is no explanation. If you're not in the air, then it must have been that you died. But I think one of the biggest things about this is that like, she actually had family who cared about her. When I first heard about this, and this is the kind of story you hear about in passing, like, you don't even have a name to the story. It's just, there's this woman who died and nobody found her for ages. And like, now we know that her name is Joyce Carol Vincent, and we know a lot about her. She was, I think, the youngest of 5 girls. Her parents emigrated from Grenada, and she unfortunately lost her mum when she was only 11. So her 4 older sisters kind of took responsibility for her upbringing. And I know what you're thinking, 4 older sisters and nobody knew where you were, kind of thing. But it's not it's not to say that she had a shit family or she was at odds with her family. Like she kind of, it's seen, and this is not to victim blame, she kind of was reclusive. Yeah, she was kind of like pulling away from her family. And I think this ties in pretty well with the whole theory of her being in an abusive relationship. I mean, I think we can conclude that she was in an abusive relationship at some point, because she had stayed in like a domestic violence shelter before the bedsit that she was found living in, which was in Wood Green. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was. I was saying these things are so local, you know. Well, to me,
I was like, Wood Green,
well, not local, but like,
yeah, but like Wood Green, I'm very familiar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's not your ends anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Wood Green was never my ends because it's North London and I'm from North West, and they're not the same thing. So.
Is Wood Green not North West?
No, it's North.
Really?
Yeah.
I just assumed it was North West.
It's like down the road from Tottenham. Tottenham is North.
Is it?
Yeah, Wood Green is definitely North.
Oh, I thought it was Northwest. I don't know why I thought it was Northwest.
No, North. But yeah, so she kind of was starting to like become more of a recluse, you know, and we've heard that oh, I keep saying we've heard. We haven't heard anything. We haven't heard a thing. We've read that she was kind of like that bitch. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was really a bad bitch. Like, she was really like about her life, and she kind of tended to just sort of slowly become a shell of herself. She detached herself from her family. There wasn't any problem. There wasn't any beef or anything. She just kind of like detached herself. And I think it's important in situations like that with people you love. Like, I think it's important to give people space, because they will, you know, come around when they want to come around. But also, like, checking in on people and making sure that they're good.
Yeah.
If there's been a change in someone's life and like now things are different, maybe checking in, you know, if they're in a relationship and now things, you know, they don't do the things they used to like to do, stuff like that. I think it's important to just check in.
It's important, yeah. Yeah, because you never actually know, and sometimes you don't know until it's too late.
Exactly.
And I think that was, I mean, it wasn't the case here, because they were trying to, like, they even hired a private investigator.
Yeah.
Like, they were on it trying to find out what was going on with their sister.
And that thing was so sad, because the private investigator found where she lived, but didn't find her. And it's like...
He's shit, though.
So...
Because, well, I guess he's not shit, because he can't break down the door. He doesn't have any legal...
jurisdiction. Power.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I think that she probably was dead by the time that he even found where she lived. Because if it found where she lived and like was staking it out and like trying to find wherever, he would have maybe seen her coming in and out of the building, or he would have bumped into her or something. But like, of course, if she's dead, she's not going anywhere. So.
And do you know what? This story is actually, I don't know how to word this, but it gives you the other side of, like, when we watch crime documentaries where people are missing and then they die.
Yeah.
You don't think about the other side of it, which is their family looking for them and all the things they go through. Like, this story, I never really processed it. Like, rather, her family was really looking for her. They had private investigators. They were sending letters, everything, because they genuinely didn't know where she was. So they must have had thoughts where they were like, she might have been kidnapped, she might have been murdered, all sorts. But because it's not nefarious in the sense that I mean, obviously it's sad, she died at a young age by herself, but like, she wasn't murdered or something. You don't think in your head like, like the family, what they were going through during that time. Whereas like, obviously, where you hear these crime shows where people have been murdered and they find their body like 5 years later or something, you think, oh my gosh, imagine what that family was going through. So that was something that struck me actually about this case.
And I think also, like, there's the fear of, oh, what if she's been kidnapped, what if this, what if that, but then also the fear of like, she really doesn't fuck with us. Like, it must have been at some point you're thinking like, she really doesn't want us to find her, like she doesn't give a fuck. Like, in the trailer there were people who were like, this woman was so fabulous. Like, she probably had gone off to live somewhere nice and was living her best life. Like, she wasn't downtrodden in their view of things. You know what I mean? She didn't see... There was even an article that I read, and it was like, she's not the typical person that you'd expect to be found years after she died. She's not an old person with no family. She's not a drug addict. Like, she's not like, you know, any of those sorts of people in society that you would deem, oh, actually, yeah, okay, it kind of makes sense. No one found you for ages. You know, she's not on the outskirts of society. Like, she literally was like, I think she was 38.
But they're saying that she was so fabulous and stuff like that. So this must have been a really drastic change, because by the time she died, she had like, obviously nothing wrong with being on benefits, but she'd gone from like working and whatever to being on benefits. And then she had some sort of like domestic violence, abuse support or something like that.
Yeah.
So she must have, there must have been something. It's shocking to me that so many people didn't pick up on this. And it just goes to show, like, I don't know, obviously judge people in her life, but like, if all these people knew her and she was so fabulous, how did no one cotton on that, like, bro, this babe, like, are we sure she's okay?
Yeah, but then maybe everyone
like,
just
they didn't
thought
clock the changes in her behaviour. Like, this is random, but like, when my granddad died, I obviously went off Twitter and stuff like that, and I had people like from Twitter who were like sending me messages and being like, oh, like, this is what people are tweeting, like, they miss you, da da da. And I'm not saying I'm a celeb or anything, but then I feel like if I suddenly went completely the opposite way, bare people would have noticed. So how close were these people?
Yeah,
to
bare
her?
people on social media, right?
Not just social media, but like even in my personal life.
I mean, I feel you, but like, I feel like this wasn't in the olden days, but this was like 2000, maybe to say 2000, let's say 2000 to 2003 is when this change happened. Yeah, I think that everybody thought, you know, when it's kind of like, it's no one's problem because everyone thinks it's everyone else's problem. Not that it's a problem, but it's like, say for example, you're like reclusive, whatever. I might think, oh yeah, cool, well, you'll chat to Shazam or you'll chat to Abner, or like, do you know what I mean? There's other people who are looking at it. Even if I'm not checking for you, like, I'm sure other people are checking for you, like, I'm sure you're fine. you know? So it's kind of like everyone probably just thought, and also everyone's doing their own shit most likely and not really thinking.
True.
I just thought, like, when it comes to things like birthdays, and so what, 1 birthday, 2 birthday, nothing. Not even just her birthday, but it's my birthday, yeah, and you haven't called me for 2 birthdays. Like, I know something is wrong, because there's no way you in your right mind would not wish me a happy birthday 2-3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I
Even
mean?
like Christmas, New Year's, everything.
To be honest,
crazy.
even speaking of Christmas, she had, and this is why it makes it even more confusing, when they found her body, she was on the sofa. Well, yeah, she was on the sofa. She was a skeleton by that point. And so it was skeletal remains they found. The TV was still on BBC One. The heating was still on. And there was...
do you know how many EastEnders episodes they had moved on? The storyline must have changed so much.
You know they don't do ads on the BBC. And so she also had like a pile of Christmas presents that had been wrapped up. So clearly,
and it's just like, who are those presents
that's
for?
what I'm saying. Clearly, she was going somewhere. She was giving them to someone.
Yeah.
So then when she didn't turn up to that someplace, then was nobody like, babes.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But we'll never know what people did and didn't do or how it went. They concluded that she died in December 2003. And the reason they were able to conclude that was because in the fridge there was food that had expired in 2003. So I guess they just kind of deduced that that's when she must have died. Like, they have her date of birth, but her death date is just December 2003. There's no date.
Yeah, there's no exact date.
Yeah, because they don't know.
Wow, it's so sad.
It's really sad. It's really sad, and I think the fact that she wasn't found for 3 years kind of gets overshadowed by the fact that she died.
Yeah.
And that's really sad.
I just think about her body sitting there, like on New Year's, they would have had like the New Year's thing playing on BBC, and then it would have been like summer, then Christmas, and just everything. And her body's just there.
Yeah.
And the heating was on. And weren't there flies or something?
There was, but apparently it was just a shit building anyway. Like, because even you think to yourself, like, wouldn't people be like, "Rah, this TV's on all the time"? But it was just a noisy building. It was a bit of a shit building. Like, no one really know. It smelled kind of funny anyway, so no one was like, "Oh." But then I just think
how
the smell
shitty it must be to stink?
Yeah, the smell of decomposing flesh must be worse.
Really bad. Because I've never smelled a body, and I don't ever want to. But I've obviously, when meat goes off, like, you know what that smell is, and it's rancid. Like, sorry, random, but did you see that whole thing floating around about the guy that he died, and then they had his body in the club?
So I saw the video start, and it was showing his feet, because it was kind of like a pan up towards him. And whenever I would see that, I would just scroll past it, because I was like, I don't want to be seeing dead bodies on my timeline.
Yeah, I did. So I didn't know what it was. So I was.
Oh, curiosity killed the what?
I literally watched it, and I was like, why is this guy just standing there
Oh, did he not look dead?
After a while, I clocked. But because because it was a club, the lighting was actually good, but it was red and green, so you couldn't see that. You can't see his skin tone, which I can guess would be off, and you couldn't see his eyes whether they were open or closed, because he had these glasses on. So I was just thinking, why is this guy randomly just standing there screwing when everybody else is in the club? And I was like, oh my days, this guy's actually dead, and they've propped him up. It was so horrific. And I was reading on Twitter, and one of the girls in the club was the manager, nobody knew they were doing that. Nobody knew. They just came to work, and next day they're in a room with a dead body. And people that were there were he was melting in there.
Melting or decomposing?
Well, you know when people say melt, when you say, "Oh, I'm melting," when it's hot, obviously they don't mean melting, but his body probably was defrosting. For lack of a better word.
Of course.
Because obviously when you're in the morgue, it's all...
Yeah,
it's all cold and stuff. So, they were his mouth was opening, because obviously it's not set anymore, because it's, defrosting. And the makeup as well, they probably had on him. Do people, yeah. Somebody should do a documentary on some of these things, though, because I've seen a lot of stuff. They took... Who was the guy, the rapper? They took his body into a strip club. I mean... He was in the casket, but it'd be interesting to see the different ways.
Yeah, I think death in different cultures is different. Do you know what I mean? They celebrate death differently. It means different things. So it's kind of just our Western, clutching my pearls, a dead body.
I mean, that was America.
Well, Western though. That's the Western world, no?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, it could be different to other places.
I get mourn how you want to mourn and everything, but that was just.
But was it the club just of his people, or was it just other people just going to the club that?
I think it was his people.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wouldn't go. Like, if it was me and they were like, oh, yeah, I'd be like, no, I'm not going.
Yeah, but
I don't
clearly
want
the
to see
people who
that.
were there were down for the cause, innit?
Oh, of course, yeah. Like, kudos to
I
them.
can't imagine
but
anyone
I'm
in
just
your
saying,
life being like, hey...
this is what she'd want.
No.
I don't even like the club, so that would be like my worst nightmare. Fam, that would be the ultimate disrespect. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was another case like that actually in the UK recently. It was in South London, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was in Peckham.
Yeah. She found dead as well. How many years was that?
I'm not sure. Let me check. So there was another case. The skeleton of a 61-year-old woman was reportedly found on her sofa more than 2 years after neighbours in southeast London reported a terrible smell.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know more about her case as well, actually.
That was recent. They reported that like end of Feb.
Yeah, it was recent. I really want to know more about that. So yeah, if they do,
That's so crazy.
give
They
us,
haven't released their name.
yeah, they haven't. If they do give us more information, we'll do a credits on that one as well.
It's so sad, man.
It's sad. It's just sad because I think about like life and all the people I like love and have in life, and you know the people
Can I say that
love.
again? Sorry.
I said it's sad because I think about life and the people I love and the people I have in life and the people that, you know, I hope love me too. And I'm just like, I can't imagine dying and like, it's just unnoticed for 2 years. I mean, obviously like in her case, in Joyce's case, her family did try to reach her and they just couldn't. But yeah, it's just sad because there's some people who don't have people to reach them. Like that is a genuine thing.
It's sad. This case as well was like there's a bit where they talk about her boyfriend. They're like, oh, her boyfriend couldn't be located.
How do you
just... Like, so what? So you're in a relationship, your girlfriend dies, and what? No one can find you to tell you. Like, I'm not trying to do conspiracy theory and say that she was killed or whatever. I can imagine that she died of natural causes and then nobody found her for ages, yeah. But like, I think that her being in whatever relationship she was in contributed to the fact that nobody found her because she had been so isolated, it seemed, from everything else.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know who that boyfriend was.
Exactly.
Because he seems like he was a shtick, for lack of a better word.
Yep, 100%.
And I guess because it's not the times of like Facebook, Twitter and Instagram and stuff. Like, so like actually to be fair, if I didn't have people in my life, nobody would know who my fiance was because I don't tag him or post him or...
Yeah.
Anything. So actually, even in today's world, it would
even now, it's very possible.
Yeah.
But also, your fiance is not abusing you, so there's that.
There is that. But yeah, guys, that was the case. Obviously, go and read up about it. I will be watching the movie, and hopefully, the next episode we do, I would have watched it, and I can be like, yeah, I watched it. It was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just, I don't know, like her case, like or her story, really haunts me because I just think about like every picture I see of her, she was so full of life. Like I could imagine walking past her in the street, like, and then she just died like that. And I just imagine like, because there must have been a moment when she knew she was dying, and then she just died. And then
it's so sad. It's a very eerie kind of feeling. I think the film, like at first, because the film wasn't made by someone in her family or to, you know, to pay tribute to her, like in that way. It was just some random woman who read the story in the newspaper and was like, rah, we need to find out more about this, yeah. And at first I was like, okay, why? Like, why would you be the one to be telling her story? Like, you don't even know her. But I had to kind of check myself and be like, okay, I kind of understand it because it's like, I kind of feel that way, that her story should have been told. Yeah. Like, to just be in the newspaper, not even your name, just woman dies, found 3 years after or whatever. I think that film was a good idea. Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched it, so I cannot vouch to it.
But it looks tastefully done from what I've seen as well. I mean, it looks tastefully done. Like they use legit actors and stuff like that. So I hope that it's good when I watch it. But yeah, it's sad. And I'd be really interested to know more about the woman who died in Peckham. So if we learn anything, guys, we will definitely update you via Instagram or we will do a credits.
Sure will. Apologies, guys, for my nasally voice today. I feel like I'm sick. It's pending. Again, I was just sick in February. Yeah. Like, what is this?
I don't know, man. You need a week of just lying on your bed and doing nothing else.
I do. I think that's what it is. I think I'm just run down. I've been doing too much. Okay, so what are we doing next?
We are doing Jobfished.
Yes.
Catfished, but for jobs.
But for just see, it's even the name is so ridiculous. That's how you know it's about to be ridiculous. It's available on BBC iPlayer. I watched it already. It's so ridiculous. Like at the end, I was just like, "What
did I watch?
Have I just watched?" But yeah, that'll be a bit more lighthearted because this was not. But no, I'm glad that we discussed this because I think we've always mentioned it in passing. Haven't even given her a name, and like now we're able to sort of report and tell her story.
Yep.
But yeah, the movie is called Dream of a Life. Is it Dream of a Life?
Yeah, it is.
Why did I feel like that sounds so wrong? Anyway.
Dreams of a Life, but it's,
Dreams. Yes. Dreams of a Life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, guys, as usual, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., at 2girls1doc.
You know where to find me. You don't need to hear it all again.
That's it. Yeah, literally. Thanks, guys, to everyone who's been listening to our episodes. We really appreciate you. Like, we really do. You guys are real ones.
You are, and we do. Thank you.
Amen. All right then, guys. Bye.
Bye.
I haven't come down.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at his bedroom window. It's just a tiny bit creepy, but this is what we've been reduced to.
I'm Katrin Nye, an investigative journalist. A year ago, I found out about a company called Madbird.
It seemed like the perfect job.
Loads of good clients that they'd worked with previously, like big brands like Facebook, Samsung.
Madbird is a creative agency. It does graphic design work, makes things like websites, apps, social media content. Dozens of people from all over the world work there.
You hear about startups that explode all the time and all these people who are billionaires because of it.
I didn't meet anyone in person. The whole thing was just online.
That's when alarm bells started ringing.
The problem is that the company is not real.
He's not there.
The email had the evidence of how we never worked with Samsung or Facebook. Everything's just basically fake.
I've spent the last year trying to figure out how on earth so many people ended up working for a fake company.
It's very nice, very real.
No one in my organization has any idea who these people are.
I'm definitely not a graphic designer. I'm a health and safety consultant.
What is going on?
And who was behind this insane online con?
This guy fooled all of us.
You shattered people's dreams. You shattered my dream.
You didn't create any opportunities for anyone.